National Security Police take away fugitive businessman Elmer Yuen's son and elder daughter for questioning. District Council election date set for December 10th. And no clear winner in Spain's election with coalition negotiations looming. Hello and welcome to TVB News. Today, National Security Police took away for questioning more family members of fugitives facing security law-related charges. The latest ones approached were businessman Elmer Yuen's son and eldest daughter Derek Yuen and Mimi Yuen. Jackie Lin has the details.
Derek Yuen, the son of Elmer Yuen, left the Wan Chai police headquarters in the late afternoon after around 10 hours of questioning. Last week, the political scholar revealed he and his father had brief exchanges while he was traveling in the U.S. Their conversations were said to involve no politics. His wife, New People's Party lawmaker Eunice Yeung, revealed the national security officers arrived at their home at around 7 in the morning with a court warrant and searched their residence. Yeung was interrogated for 3 hours at the Western Police Station, and the procedure was video recorded. Police asked about Elmer Yuen's location and phone number. Yeung said she had no information about those details. She said she expected the police action and her cooperation shows her support for the security law. She added the situation has not affected her relationship with her husband. In August last year, Yeung announced in a newspaper statement that she severed ties with her then father-in-law, Elmer Yuen. The 74-year-old businessman and political commentator, now in the U.S., is among the 8 pro-democracy fugitives who each have a $1 million reward on their heads offered by National Security Police for information leading to their arrests. It's understood Elmer Yuen's eldest daughter, Mimi Yuen, was also taken away for questioning. Over the past 2 weeks, National Security Police took in family members of self-exiled former lawmakers Nathan Law and Dennis Kwok, as well as unionist Meng Siu Tat, to assist in the investigation. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The new District Council ordinary election will take place on December 10th. The nomination period will begin in mid-October. Sharon Tang has more.
The government announced today that the chief executive, working in accordance with the District Council's ordinance, has specified the date for holding the 7th District Council ordinary election. Elections of the District Committee's constituency and the District Council geographical constituency will be held on the same day. The nomination period will run for 2 weeks from October 17th. The government said it encourages individuals with talents and aspirations who are patriotic and have an affection for Hong Kong to serve the community by actively participating in the election. It added the new term of the district councils will strictly adhere to the positioning under the Basic Law to carry out advisory and services functions, duly contribute to the government's district governance work, and effectively respond to the expectations of the public. Earlier this month, legislators voted unanimously to pass the District Council Amendment Bill, slashing the number of council seats from 479 to 470. Directly elected seats have been cut down to 20%. The 452 constituencies have also been rezoned into 44, with 2 seats up for grabs in each constituency. Third Side Party Chairman and lawmaker Tik Chi Yuen said his group will likely send 3 members to run in the election, even though more members wish to participate. He said that's because resources are limited and campaign costs are now much higher than before. Lawmaker Ben Chen said the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong has yet to convene a meeting to discuss the matter, but has reached the consensus that more manpower should be deployed to cope with the work under the new election system. It's believed the Democratic Party is still consulting members on their intention to join the race. The party is expected to decide whether or not members will run in the election within a month's time. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
Chief Executive John Lee and his delegation continued their second day of visit in Singapore. The CE met with Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong at the Istana, the presidential residence. This is Lee's first work trip to the city-state since he became the SAR leader. Mimo Sangai reports.
Welcome again.
On the second day of Chief Executive John Lee's ASEAN trip, he visited Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong around lunchtime.
I'm very delighted that you find time out of your very busy schedule.
Very important relationship.
Thank you. Deputy Secretary of Finance.
The CE then introduced the other government officials to the Prime Minister. They then had a sit-down talk with the Singapore leader, saying he was pleased to see the CE again after the pandemic. The previous time they met was in November 2022 at the Bangkok APEC summit.
Very good relations with Hong Kong. Now that COVID is past and we re-emerge and things are back to normal, I think we should ramp up our relations again.
The purpose of my visit is to build friendship, create goodwill, and strengthen cooperation.
A luncheon was organized at the presidential residence for the SAR delegation, joined by Singaporean officials, including Senior Minister of Singapore and Coordinating Minister for National Security, Teo Chee Hean. Johnny would then attend a commerce dinner, meeting with Deputy Prime Minister Han Swee Keat and local business leaders before he leaves Singapore tomorrow for his next ASEAN trip destination, Jakarta. Memos 9, TVB News.
Police investigating the murder and dismemberment of model Abby Choi went back to Lung Mei village in Tai Po this morning to conduct a crime scene reconstruction. 2 vehicles suspected to be linked to the case were taken to the village. Officers then simulated the scene of Choi being moved from one of the cars to a village house. The model was murdered in February this year. Police arrested 7 people, including Choi's former husband and his 3 family members. They have been charged with murder and perverting the course of justice. Overseas, the snap general election in Spain has created political deadlock. The conservative opposition Popular Party has won the most seats in parliament, but does not have an outright majority. No major party appears to have a path to power. David Garrett reports.
Feeling the political heat in Spain, it was not just the politicians sweating on a snap election. The voters themselves defied 40-degree Celsius heat to push turnout over 70%. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's ruling socialist, PSOE, was savaged in local elections in May, and Sanchez gambled on a summer election to turn the tide. As 8 p.m. struck, counting began with every vote really important in a closer-than-expected contest. The opposition Conservatives, the Popular Party, saw this as their chance. PP supporters, many wearing or waving the red and yellow of the Spanish flag, waited for the results announcement. The graphic behind the Interior Minister showed the Conservatives had obtained 32.5% of the vote. The minister said that was enough to take 136 seats in Parliament. So, the Popular Party won the election, but not a majority. The far-right Vox Party mustered a disappointing 33 seats. That right-wing pairing is therefore 7 seats short of an overall majority. Sanchez's PSOE has 122, even by joining with left-wing party Sumar, who took 31 seats. That again is well short of a 176-seat majority and a ruling coalition. At PP headquarters, supporters were happy they'd won the most votes. They hailed leader Alberto Núñez Feijóo, who told them,
"Nuestra obligación ahora."
Spaniards put their trust in the Popular Party. I can lead dialogue and try and govern our country. But Sanchez knows his opponent has not got the support to do that. He was celebrating too because his gamble has to some extent paid off. The PSOE has been governing with a minority after forming left-wing alliances. Sanchez and his partners have won slightly more seats than they did in 2019. The real relief for them is they've stopped the rise of the right and the electorate broadly supported Liberal policies. Sumar leader Yolanda Díaz said, "Democracy has won today. Democracy has come out stronger." Vox hoped to force its way into power, but they were 19 seats down on 4 years earlier. Leader Santiago Abascal said that the pro-socialist results were bad news. It has happened recently in other European countries like Sweden and Italy, but Spain has not yet seen a lurch to the right. The country has not had a right-wing government since the death of Francisco Franco in the late 1970s. David Garrett, TVB News.
Cambodia's longtime leader Hun Sen and his Cambodian People's Party have declared victory in elections. The landslide success was expected in a poll that critics called rigged and a vote that made a farce of democracy. Turnout was high at nearly 80%. Hun Sen is expected to continue his 38 years in power, although the 70-year-old is expected to hand over control of the country to his son Hun Manet soon. The EU and US do not consider the poll to be free and fair because of a lack of credible opposition and did not send election observers. Meantime, New Zealand's Justice Minister resigned today after police filed charges against her for being over the legal alcohol limit when she crashed her car into a parked vehicle on Sunday. The incident involving Justice Minister Kiri Allen was the latest in a series of missteps and scandals involving government ministers less than 3 months from national elections. Police have charged her with careless driving and refusing to accompany a police officer. Allen had recently taken time off for mental health issues. For now, she remains a member of Parliament. Prime Minister Chris Hipkins said she could not continue as Justice Minister.
I spoke to Kitty the first thing this morning, just before 7 a.m. I advised her that I did not believe that she was in a fit state to hold a ministerial warrant. She expressed remorse and had already sent me a message just before that, indicating that she intended to resign. She understood that retaining her ministerial warrant was untenable, especially for a Justice Minister to be charged with criminal offending. Kitty is now heading home and will be taking time to consider her future in politics.
A nuclear-powered U.S. submarine arrived at Jeju Island in South Korea this morning, marking the second deployment of a major U.S. naval asset to the Korean peninsula in 1 week. The arrival of the USS Annapolis adds to South Korea and America's show of force to counter North Korean nuclear threats. The Annapolis is powered by a nuclear reactor, but is armed with conventional weapons. It mainly docks at Jeju to load supplies, but South Korea's Navy said the U.S. and South Korean militaries are discussing whether to arrange training involving the Annapolis. Last week, the USS Kentucky became the first U.S. nuclear-armed submarine to come to South Korea since the 1980s. North Korea reacted to its arrival in Busan by test-firing ballistic and cruise missiles. Demonstrators gathered outside Israel's parliament today as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu left hospital after having a pacemaker implanted in his heart. Netanyahu said he was feeling fine after the procedure and was ready to get back to work. The Prime Minister's supporters came out in force, gathering in central Tel Aviv to show their backing. Many of them said they are supporting democracy, but thousands of Israelis remain opposed to the government's plan to overhaul the judiciary, saying Netanyahu is paving the way for a dictatorship. Police on Sunday used water cannons to disperse protesters. Today's vote in Parliament is expected to approve the first major piece of legislation in the contentious plan. In a short video statement from the hospital, Netanyahu, 73, held out the possibility of a compromise with his opponents. And back in Hong Kong, today is the first working day since the implementation of the auto toll system, Hong Kong e-toll, at the Cross Harbour Tunnel. The Transport Department said the traffic situation in the morning was better than expected. This was the scene at the Kowloon side of the Cross Harbour Tunnel during rush hour this morning. Despite the slow-moving vehicles, the flow of traffic was largely smooth. The Transport Department said about 73,000 vehicles passed through the tunnel between midnight and 5:30 p.m. today. Severe Typhoon Doksuri is edging closer to the Philippines and is expected to move towards China's Fujian province. Here in Hong Kong, the observatory says the forecast track would only be more visible on Wednesday. The forecaster expects Doksuri to intensify into a super typhoon. It is likely to move towards the Luzon Strait in the next few days and may head towards the coast of eastern Guangdong. There is also a chance that it will edge closer to the vicinity of southern Taiwan. Under the influence of its outer subsiding air, it will be persistently hot over southern China in midweek. Hong Kong may also be affected by unsettled weather triggered by the high temperatures. And the airport authority has rolled out a new home-to-airport luggage delivery service. It allows travelers to drop off their checked baggage straight from home. Delivery personnel will first verify the traveler's identity and check if there are any prohibited items in the luggage. After weighing the baggage, it will be delivered straight to the plane. Launched last month, the service for now is only available for certain flights under Cathay Pacific Airways with online check-in services. Delivery for the first piece of luggage costs $370 and $180 for every subsequent piece. Online reservations for this service should be made at least 12 hours before departure. The Hong Kong Golf Club has applied for judicial review in the hope of saving part of the golf course in Fanling. They want to overturn the environmental impact assessment's green light for the government to build homes on parts of the course when 32 hectares of the land are returned in September. In its filing, the plaintiff noted the Director of Environment Protection had not arranged a public consultation again after supplementary information was submitted. The club also thinks the director has failed to address the ecological impact of the development. It also noted that if the legal challenge is approved, the assessment will be rendered invalid until the results are announced. That is the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly. Bye for now.